Since it's Valentine's Day out there, happy Valentine's Day, by the way, we're going to talk about a love story. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone's doing well out there, and I hope everyone's having a happy Valentine's Day out there. This is a special Valentine's Day review, and we're going to talk about a love story. Where I'm at today, it's a little chilly and a little rainy, but we'll get through it. I hope everybody's enjoying their day. But today we're going to talk about, like I said, a love story. A love story where a boy meets a girl meets a boy, they fall in love, but they don't really necessarily live happily ever after. And the movie we're going to talk about is Fear. This movie came out April 12th of 1996. Yes, we're back in 90s thriller territory. It's rated R. It's an hour and 37 minutes long, had a budget of $6.5 million, and upon release that year, it made 20.8. So it was a nice little sleeper hit. Now, this movie was directed by James Foley. He directed a bunch of music videos and some other films. This was Mark Wahlberg is an early role for him. This was right after Marky Mark and a Funky Bunch. He'd done some TV work and a few little small roles in movies, but this was like a kind of a showcase for him. And a year later, he did Boogie Nights, which really blew him up for his portrayal in that film. We also got, he plays David McCall in this film. We also got a young Reese Witherspoon. This was early in her career. She had done some things, but this was her a nice size role for her, and then she went on to do Cruel Intentions shortly after this and some other films, and then she became a star after that. She plays Nicole Walker. William Peterson is in this film as her father, Stephen Walker, and this is definitely essential 90s thrillers. You got the cool hip soundtrack, you got a version of The Wild Horses by the Rolling Stones in this film. You got a lot of Bush songs during this film, which I appreciate because I like Bush, and I was a fan of theirs back then. But this very simple story about this girl who goes to live with her father. Her mother had passed away, and her father and mother were divorced for a while, and she moved to Seattle to live with her father and his new wife and her little boy. And they live in this big house in this kind of gated community. And he's an architect. And she goes to school, and she has a friend, a guy friend, and this other girl played by Melissa Milano. And one day she meets this guy, David, at this concert they go to, this show. And not too long after this, they fall in love. We see them, the famous scene on the roller coaster. I'm not gonna get too graphic, but you'll remember that scene if you've ever seen this film. And David seems like a great guy, smart guy, very sensitive guy, but then little telltale signs. The father doesn't like him at all, even though he's nice to the father at first. But the father, this is basically an allegory for fathers with their daughters as they grow older into womanhood and starting to date men. I have a son, I don't have a daughter, but I can only imagine what a father would feel, you know, seeing his daughter for the first time start dating. I can only imagine, but they start seeing each other, but little telltale signs that David is not the guy he claims to be. And we kind of find out that David was in prison for a while, or he was arrested. He was in like a halfway house, and he's been in trouble before. And he beats the shit out of Reese Witherspoon's friend, his guy friend. And typical teenage stuff where the daughter does not want to believe the father or trust in the father, and the father is trying to assert his will over his daughter to protect her, but she's rebelling. And finally, towards the end of the film, I don't give everything away, even though this movie's been out for a long time. If you've never seen it, I'm going to recommend this. It's a pretty good little thriller. At the end of the film, it basically turns into Straw Dogs. It turns into a home invasion film, because finally her father gets sick of David's shit, goes to his house and trashes it. And meanwhile, while he's trashing the house, you can see a little Chucky doll in the house while he's trashing it. And I saw it, and I'm like, that's awesome. I never realized that when I saw this years ago. This is the first time I've probably seen this film in over a decade. And then David takes his little gang and goes to their house, and it basically the last 15 minutes turns into a home invasion film. The father kills David spectacularly, and then we have a happy ending to Fear. I gotta give Mark Wahlberg credit. This is early in his career. I know a lot of people give Mark Wahlberg shit about some of his acting, but he plays a very effective psychopath in this film. He ratchets it up as the film goes along, and by the end, he's unhinged, and he does it well. And, you know, I bought his performance. He was really well. Reese Witherspoon is good as a young teenage girl who's smitten with this guy and doesn't want to listen to her father, but eventually comes to realize that David is not what he claims to be. And William Peterson's great. All the cast is really good here for this small little thriller. It's well shot by James Foley. There's some really nice shots. He keeps the pace moving. It's only an hour and 37 minutes long. It's straight and to the point. and it's very effective. And there is some moments of violence that takes you off guard if you're not expecting it. There's a part in the film. I own a German Shepherd. I love German Shepherds, and they have a German Shepherd to family. When David goes with his gang to do the home invasion part of this film, in the last 15 minutes, they cut the dog's head off and throw it through the doggy door. And it's very, if you're not ready for it, it kind of takes you off guard. But yes, there are moments of violence. It's definitely a rated R. They do utilize the rated R rating very well in this film. And it's a good little thriller. It's not perfect. It's very, there's some convenient things that have to happen. It's very 90s. It's very 90-ish for sure. But I grew up in the 90s, so I love the 90s. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, there's a little bit of corny stuff in there, but overall, it's a very effective thriller. If you've never seen it, I'd recommend it. On this Valentine's Day, sit down with your loved ones and watch it. It's a good little thriller to watch on this, if you like thrillers, and it's a love story that turns bad. It's like Fatal Attraction. Like I said, it's kind of like a teenage Fatal Attraction. It's kind of what it is. And the last 15 minutes turns into Straw Dogs. So if that sounds like a good time to you, sit down and check this out. I would give Fear a 7.5 out of 10. It's a very good, tight thriller with some good performances by our young cast here. William Peterson's fantastic. It's just a good, solid little thriller. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10 for Fear. Have you ever seen this film? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Oh, one more thing on the trivia. Liv Tyler actually turned down Reese Witherspoon's role. She was up for it and she said no. And this film was actually filmed in 94, but didn't get released till 96. I don't know why. I couldn't find anything on why it sat in the shelf that long, but it was filmed 2 years before it was released. But yeah, 7.5 out of 10 for Fear. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this film. If you've ever seen it, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I will be back later in the week with Sudden Impact review, and I'm going to do a horror review towards the end of the week. Until then, take care of each other, and I'm just going to leave with bye.